going for a walk. It's been a bit of a funny 2 days on, well, it's Tuesday today. On Saturday I had a flat tyre, so I actually did an AA call out, and I'm glad I did, because there's no way I would have got those nuts undone. The tyre guy had to get a big bar out to do it with. And yeah, yesterday I drove into Tyre, and the tyre guy there, who was going to fix a puncture for me at Bridgestone, said no, it's gone flat in that place twice, therefore I won't put it back on as a tyre, I'll leave your spare on. And I put my hand inside the tyre and I felt it where he pointed to, and it was smooth, there was nothing there. So I went, okay. So I carried on, and then I went to Advantage Tyres and spoke to that guy yesterday there, and he said, well, yeah, because another tyre guy has said it's not a good tyre, I can't put it back on either. He's apparently looking for a second-hand or retread for me to put on there, because the spare's not a match to the rest of that axle, so I'm just actually hanging around and hoping to hear from him. I was reading on the local Facebook page, the Taupo one, about, it had 350 comments on it about 5 Mile Bay and how all the tourists and campers should be charged. A lot of people think that they should be charged and that the council should sort it out, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because it's actually a dock area, not a council area, so the council actually doesn't have any jurisdiction over this place anyway. But I thought, why not? Time to get outside. I've been working online this morning and last night, and yeah, I thought I'd come and have a look for myself. So here's an area where camper vans are not allowed. There's a sign there, and from what I can see, there aren't any there. So all the local people who are saying they can't come down here because of the tourists, sorry, but I just don't get it. Why can't you come down here? Now that is a nappy, a baby's nappy. And I wouldn't think that would have been tourists either who put that there. There's not that many tourists with babies who are actually travelling around. So, I don't know, I think the tourists are getting a little bit too much flack in this case. Apparently they don't spend any money in town, and I tend to not believe that, because they've got to get food and fuel and things like that, internet. So, yeah, I just don't think that's quite right. Yeah, so, I don't know, I don't think it's that bad. Maybe I'm a little bit late in the day. There aren't as many people here as I've seen here before. So there were probably quite a lot more earlier. But I think, you know, freedom campers have to go somewhere, including these tourists. They're not going to stop coming to this country, and if they did, a lot of the local businesses would probably complain because they wouldn't be making as much money. A lot of these tourists will spend money on experiences rather than a flash hotel room, so I'm sure they do things like the Tongariro crossing and all sorts of local activities. So I do think the local economy does make some money out of it. I do think it could be managed a little bit better, because one toilet for this whole area, considering how many vans and cars come and stay, I don't think is quite enough. So, and the council, it's not their jurisdiction, it's a dock area, so the council isn't going to do anything about it either. So, yeah, it really is up to dock to sort this out. some of the local comments were that people should have to pay. And I think if there was an honesty box here, I'm sure they'd get some donations in it. And Doc does that at some of their camps, so they could do it here to help pay for the infrastructure. You know, if people were charged $5 a night or something like that, I think, yeah, people would pay. Okay, there'd be some who would try not to, but quite a few people would, so it would actually give them an income from this place, and I don't think that's a bad thing if it can help them to look after it better and things like that. But it's not full of rubbish. The only rubbish I've actually seen is that nappy on the beach, which I don't think was a tourist. And yeah, apart from that, it's actually looking pretty clean as far as I'm concerned. I'll show you a bit more as I carry on walking. Wow, it's very, very warm. I've just been to town and raced around as quickly as possible so the poor kitty cat wasn't stuck in the truck. So my doctor wanted me to have a blood test for my iron levels, so I went and did that and picked up my mail, and I got my aerial, which is for my Wi-Fi, for my 4G, for my internet, and I didn't expect it to be quite that tiny. I thought it was about the size of a Coke can or something, but that is tiny. I hope it makes a difference. I'm going to install that this afternoon. I've still got to decide exactly where I want to put it and where I want to run the wire, and hopefully it'll just give things a little bit of a boost, because sometimes I really struggle. So, well, it's been a bit of a crazy day and a half, really. The guy I had my tyre ordered with, he just didn't seem to either have time or couldn't find one. I'm not too sure either. But I went there this morning to see what the story was, and yes, I told him not to worry about it, but I went down the road to Carter's, and that guy, even though they're crazy busy, he's found me one, and it's going to go on the truck on Monday. But in the meantime, I actually decided to get out of Taupo, because I was at the NZMCA park. I had a bit of a strange encounter with some people there last night, and there was this massive earth-moving machine working across the road, and it was so noisy. So I thought, yeah, if I've got to muck around in Taupo until Monday, I'll just get out of town and go somewhere nice for a couple of days. So I've come to Mangakino, and yeah, for some reason I just like it here. It's fairly busy, but not too bad at this point. If it gets too stupid during the weekend, I'll move on again. I don't mind. I'm just sort of going with the flow at the moment and wanting to get that tyre sorted so that I can carry on my journey south. So yeah, and yesterday I put in my little aerial, which I think is making a difference. My modem has this light, turquoisey light on it, which I don't think it had before, so I think it is getting better reception now. So I installed that, which was pretty easy. Hardest part was actually getting the cable laid and through and all the way through to the modem. So I've brought it in through up there and run it right along there and through the cupboard. And then, sorry, it's a bit dark in here. And then to the modem, which is, yeah, slightly different colour now. Slightly higher grade of internet than what I was getting before. So the aerial's obviously working, which is really, really cool. Yeah, so... And what else I did is I installed 2 little computer fans that also came in my mail that I'd ordered on Trade Me for $3.50. So I've put them in because they're a bit quieter and I can just leave them running during the day. So I've put them in front of the vent for my fridge so that they're sucking hot air out and helping it to vent better. So hopefully that'll make a bit of a difference too, because what I had jammed in behind there was one of these. And it's a little bit big for the job, really. And they're pretty cheap fans, you know, they're from the warehouse, so it probably wouldn't last that long running, you know, 7 or 8 hours a day. So I thought I'll get some computer fans because they seem to be able to run heaps and heaps and heaps. And once I got here, a couple of people I know stopped in as well. So it was nice to have a chat and a catch up. They live here in Mangakino and have also said if it gets too stupid or busy, I can go and park up at their place, which is nice too. It's nice to have that as a bit of a backup. So yeah, last night was a little bit weird. I was actually dozing because I'd worked yesterday and then installed all that stuff, had something to eat and happily dozed off on the couch, and I had a bang, bang, bang on my door, and a woman going, "Do you recognise me? Do you know who I am?" And I'm like, gosh, I mean, with the gypsy, she says, "Oh, I met you in Orewa with the gypsy fairs." And it's like, when I was doing the gypsy fairs, the amount of people I met week in, week out was huge. So I wasn't sure, and she gave me a first name, and then I registered knowing her on Facebook or whatever. But anyway, she came down and she said, "Oh, we park here where you are, and because we have a slider van and a dog, so we park here." And I'm like, okay. And then I sort of lightheartedly said, "Well, I'm not a huge fan of sliding doors slamming all the time either." And he got really shitty, the guy, and stormed off and says, "Well, I'm parking here because then I can walk the dog," and blah, blah, blah. And he stormed off and got the van and reversed it back towards where I was standing, like really fast. Even his wife kind of jumped back and went, "Oh my God, what's he doing?" And then she scuttled off to tie up the dog. And I just went inside. It was like, I don't know what's going on here. But he was just really, really angry, and it was really unpleasant. So I just left them to it and did my thing and stayed inside last night. And then this morning I had work to do online anyway, so I often just get up and do that. And there was so much door slamming going on out there. It was ridiculous. I'm pretty sure it was actually a little bit overdone and maybe intentional. I mean, 23 times in 10 minutes is excessive even for tourists, and they weren't tourists. So it was kind of a bit stupid and childish. So I went to have a look to see who this woman actually was and where I knew her from, but she has blocked me on Facebook, I think, because I typed in her name, and I remembered having seen her on Facebook in some of the groups, and nope, she blocked me now. So yeah, pretty strange goings on. So I was quite pleased to get out of there this morning. It just kind of felt weird, and yeah, it was sort of having a car reverse back at me at that kind of speed just seemed a bit aggressive, not very nice. So yeah, it was a bit odd. It kind of left me a little bit, I don't know, flustered. The guy said to me, "If you can't handle this, then you shouldn't be on the road." But, you know, it turned into some sort of really weird, serious thing, which I thought was strange. There was actually heaps of room at that park, but I was in their spot, and it's actually something I don't relate well to when I'm parked somewhere where there's no reserved spots and people come up to me and go, "You're in my spot. I park here." I always just ignore it because I think it's stupid. You know, you don't get to reserve spots. You don't get to have your own spots in NZMCA parks in general, or public land or whatever. There was no indication, and there was actually somebody completely different parked in that spot before I moved to it. So no, it wasn't their spot. It was complete garbage. So it is one of those weird statements, "That's my spot." That I don't tend to respond to favourably to because I think it's really, really silly. So yeah, it's been a bit of a funny old week. Some real pro plus good things happened, like my aerial arrived and things like that. I finally managed to get a tyre sorted, which is a big relief, and yeah, a few odd experiences thrown in, but you get that. That's life on the road. You meet a few strange folk. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any comments to make, please leave them below. And please subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Lots of love.